You're attached to people who drain you, to situations that diminish you, to outcomes you can't control, and that attachment is a chain around your throat. Every emotional investment in what you cannot change is power bleeding from your veins. Machiavelli wrote that the prince who cannot detach from his desires becomes slave to them. The powerful detach. They engage strategically, not emotionally. They withdraw when withdrawal serves them. The weak cling to relationships that hurt them, to circumstances that trap them, to hope that someone will change or something will improve. That clinging is weakness, wearing the mask of loyalty. Subscribe right now because this will cut deep. 5 Machiavellian tactics for complete detachment from people and situations that drain your power. The 5th one is the apex. It's about emotional sovereignty. And once you master it, nothing can control you through your feelings again. Stay to the end, because that's where you learn to be present without being possessed, engaged without being enslaved. Comment now. What are you attached to that's destroying you? Let me know. Here's how you master detachment. Machiavelli taught that it is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both, but the deeper truth is this. It is better to need nothing than to need everything. When you're attached, you need. When you need, you're vulnerable. When you're vulnerable, you're controllable. Detachment isn't coldness. Detachment is freedom. The freedom to engage fully while remaining able to walk away completely. The prince who depends on the affection of his people is destroyed when that affection turns. The prince who depends on no one's affection survives all turns of fortune. Your attachments are the strings others pull to make you dance. Every person you can't lose is a person who controls you. Every outcome you desperately need is an outcome that owns you. Every situation you can't leave is a prison you built yourself. Lesson 1. Recognize attachment as the root of all manipulation. Machiavelli wrote, "He who is dependent on another man is never truly free." This is the foundation. Before you can detach, you must see clearly how your attachments enslave you. Every attachment is a vulnerability that others exploit. You're attached to someone's approval. They know this. Machiavelli taught, men are quick to see where they can exert influence. They use your need for their approval as leverage. Withdraw approval, watch you scramble. Grant approval, watch you comply. Your attachment to their validation makes you their puppet. They pull the string of approval or disapproval, and you move exactly as they want. You're attached to a specific outcome. Others see this. They use your desperation for that outcome to extract concessions. You need the deal to close. They know this. The price goes up. The terms favor them. Your attachment to the outcome destroyed your negotiating power. Machiavelli was clear. The prince who shows he desperately desires a thing will pay twice what it's worth and receive half what he needs. You're attached to a relationship. They feel this. Your attachment becomes their security, that they can treat you poorly, and you'll stay. Why would they improve their behavior when your attachment guarantees you won't leave regardless of how they act? Machiavelli observed, people treat you according to what you demonstrate you will tolerate, not according to what you say you deserve. The brutal truth is that attachment is the mechanism of control, not just others controlling you. You controlling yourself. Your attachment to comfort keeps you in situations that slowly kill you. Your attachment to familiarity keeps you from opportunities that would elevate you. Your attachment to how things should be blinds you to how things actually are. Every attachment is a chain. Seeing this clearly is the first step to breaking free. Comment attachment is control if you see how your emotional dependencies make you manipulable. Lesson 2. Practice strategic emotional distance. Machiavelli taught, the wise prince involves himself in affairs but does not entangle himself in them. There is profound difference between involvement and entanglement, between engagement and enmeshment, between caring and clinging. Strategic emotional distance is the art of being present without being possessed. You engage with people without making them essential to your well-being. You enjoy their presence. You value their company, but your happiness doesn't require their presence. Your peace doesn't depend on their behavior. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince who finds contentment in himself is unshakable. The prince who requires others for contentment is at the mercy of their whims." You interact fully. You connect genuinely, but you remain able to walk away if walking away becomes necessary. That ability to walk away, even from people you care about, is power. You engage with situations without making specific outcomes necessary. You pursue goals. You work toward results. But your sense of worth doesn't hinge on achieving them. Your identity doesn't collapse if they fail. Machiavelli taught, "Fortune changes. The prince who ties his worth to fortune's favor is destroyed when fortune turns." You do your best. You maximize probability of success, but you remain emotionally separate from where the success comes. That separation is what allows clear strategic thinking instead of desperate flailing. You engage with circumstances without making them permanent in your mind. You're in a job, a city, a phase of life, but you hold it lightly. You're here now. You might be somewhere else later. Machiavelli observed, "The prince who believes any situation will last forever is unprepared when it inevitably changes." Strategic distance means you're fully present in current circumstances while maintaining awareness that circumstances change and you can change with them or change them. This isn't emotional unavailability. This isn't refusing to care. This is caring deeply while refusing to be controlled by your caring. Machiavelli's distinction is crucial. The prince should care about outcomes but not be desperate for them. Should value relationships but not be dependent on them. Should engage with life fully but remain able to disengage when necessary. That's strategic emotional distance. Full engagement, zero entanglement. Lesson 3. Develop your capacity to walk away. Machiavelli wrote what might be his most powerful teaching on detachment. The prince must always be ready to change his course when circumstances demand it, and he must not be bound by prior commitments, emotions, or attachments that prevent necessary change. The ultimate detachment skill is the ability to walk away from anything that no longer serves you. Relationships, situations, investments, identities, anything. You've invested years in a relationship. It's become toxic. The weak think, "I've invested so much I can't walk away now." The powerful think, "I've invested enough. Walking away prevents further loss." Machiavelli taught, "Sunk costs are costs already paid. Only a fool throws good resources after bad merely because bad resources have already been spent." You walk away, not because the years didn't matter, because staying would waste the years you have left. You've built an identity around something, a career, a role, a reputation. It no longer fits who you're becoming. The weak cling to the identity because walking away feels like losing themselves. The powerful understand what Machiavelli knew. The prince who cannot shed an outdated identity will be destroyed by circumstances that have moved beyond it. You walk away from who you were to become who you need to be. The identity was useful. Now it's limiting. You shed it like old skin. You've committed to a path. The path isn't leading where you thought it would. The weak stay on the path because they committed, and commitment means never changing course. The powerful know Machiavelli's truth. Only the dead and the foolish never change direction. The living and the wise adapt to new information. You committed based on what you knew then. You know more now. Walking away from the wrong path is how you find the right one. The capacity to walk away requires one thing: alternatives. Machiavelli was explicit. The prince who has no alternatives has no freedom. Build alternatives, always. Alternative relationships so no single person's departure destroys you. Alternative income so no single job owns you. Alternative identities so no single role defines you. Alternative paths so no single plan traps you. Alternatives are the foundation of detachment. You can only walk away when you have somewhere else to walk to. Drop "I can walk away" if you're building the alternatives that create freedom to leave anything that no longer serves you. Lesson 4. Master outcome independence. Machiavelli taught, "The prince should prefer the outcome he desires, but should be prepared to accept and adapt to the outcome he receives." This is outcome independence. Preference without dependence. Effort without desperation. Strategic action without emotional collapse if the action fails. You want a specific outcome. You work toward it. You maximize probability it occurs. But your emotional state doesn't hinge on whether it occurs. Machiavelli wrote, "The prince who needs a specific outcome becomes frantic when that outcome is threatened. Frantic men make poor decisions. You remain calm regardless of which outcome manifests because you've already decided you'll handle whatever comes." Someone might say yes to your proposal. They might say no. You prefer yes. You've made the case for yes, but you're genuinely okay with no. Why? Because Machiavelli taught this truth. Every no is information. Every rejection is redirection. Every closed door means your energy is available for a door that will open, and you're not pretending to be okay with no. You're actually okay with no because you understand that specific outcomes aren't as important as your ability to respond effectively to whatever outcome occurs. A situation might resolve the way you want. It might not. You've done what you can to influence it toward your preference, but you've also prepared for alternative outcomes. Machiavelli was clear on this. The wise prince has plans for multiple futures, not desperate hope for one future. When you've prepared for multiple outcomes, you're not devastated by any single outcome. You're ready. That readiness is power. Desperation for one outcome is weakness. Outcome independence doesn't mean not caring. It means caring about the process you control more than the results you don't. Machiavelli taught, "Control what you can control, your actions, your preparations, your responses. Release what you cannot control, others' choices, fortune's turns, circumstances beyond your influence. Pour energy into what you control, detach from what you don't." That's outcome independence. Maximum effort, zero attachment to specific results. Lesson 5. Achieve emotional sovereignty. Machiavelli's ultimate teaching on detachment. The prince who is master of himself is master of his world. The prince who is slave to his emotions is slave to all who know how to manipulate those emotions. This is emotional sovereignty, the apex of detachment. Complete ownership of your emotional state such that external circumstances influence but never control your internal experience. Someone disrespects you. Your emotional sovereignty means you notice the disrespect, assess whether response is strategically valuable, and respond or don't respond based on strategy, rather than based on wounded feelings demanding reaction. Machiavelli taught, "The prince who must react to every slight is controlled by every enemy who discovers that slight produces reaction." You're not suppressing the feeling of disrespect. You're experiencing it, evaluating it, and choosing your response rather than letting the feeling choose for you. Something doesn't go your way. Your emotional sovereignty means you feel the disappointment, acknowledge it, and then decide what to do next based on what serves your objectives rather than based on the disappointment demanding you quit or rage or collapse. Machiavelli wrote, "Fortune turns against all men. The prince who is destroyed by fortune's turns is not destroyed by fortune. He is destroyed by his inability to maintain himself when fortune turns." You feel what you feel. You don't let what you feel dictate what you do. Someone you care about leaves. Your emotional sovereignty means you feel the loss. Grieve if grief is appropriate, and continue building your life rather than letting their absence dismantle what you've built. Machiavelli observed, "The prince whose state crumbles when one person departs had no state, only a house of cards dependent on that person. You valued them. Their leaving hurts. The hurt doesn't stop you from moving forward because your emotional state is yours to manage, not theirs to determine through their presence or absence. This is the final freedom, emotional sovereignty." Machiavelli knew, he who controls his emotional responses controls his destiny. He who is controlled by his emotional reactions is destined to be controlled by whoever learns which emotions to trigger. You feel everything. You're controlled by nothing. Circumstances happen. Emotions arise. You remain sovereign over how you respond. That sovereignty is the ultimate detachment, not from feeling, from being controlled through feeling. Here's who you become when you master detachment. Machiavelli described this transformation. The detached prince moves through the world like water, touching everything, clinging to nothing, flowing around obstacles impossible to grasp or contain. You recognize attachment as the mechanism of control and you starve that mechanism. You practice strategic emotional distance, fully present, never possessed. You develop capacity to walk away from anything by building alternatives to everything. You master outcome independence by preferring outcomes without needing them. And you achieve emotional sovereignty by feeling everything while being controlled by nothing. You're not cold. Machiavelli was clear on this. The detached prince is not unfeeling. He feels perhaps more deeply than others because his feelings are not clouded by desperate need. You're not uncaring. You care deeply. You're just not controlled through your caring. You're not distant. You're present. You're just not imprisoned by your presence. When you detach, you stop being vulnerable to manipulation through your attachments. Machiavelli taught, "The man with no dependencies has no levers for others to pull." When you detach, you make better decisions because desperation isn't corrupting your judgment. The man who needs nothing makes choices based on strategy. The man who needs everything makes choices based on fear. When you detach, you become capable of genuine connection because you're connecting from choice, not from need. The desperate connection is always distorted by the desperation. The sovereign connection is pure. Machiavelli's final wisdom on detachment. The prince should love as if he might someday hate, and hate as if he might someday love. Nothing is permanent. No relationship is guaranteed. No situation lasts forever. Hold everything lightly. Engage fully, attached to nothing. That is the way of the detached prince. That is the path to power that cannot be taken from you because it doesn't depend on anything outside yourself. Subscribe right now. This channel teaches Machiavellian psychological sovereignty for people who understand that attachment is slavery and detachment is freedom. Comment. Emotional sovereignty. If you're mastering your emotional state. Comment, "I can walk away" if you're building alternatives. Comment, "Outcome independent" if you prefer without needing. Comment, "Strategic distance" if you engage without entanglement. Comment, "Detached" if you're free. Share this with someone who's enslaved by their attachments and doesn't know how to break free. Machiavelli would say, "Show them that the chains they wear are chains they forged themselves, and chains forged by oneself can be broken by oneself. You're not becoming heartless. You're becoming free." Machiavelli. The detached heart is not a closed heart. It is an open heart that refuses to be captured. You're not becoming distant. You're becoming sovereign. You're not abandoning connection. You're refusing to be controlled through connection. Master detachment. Recognize attachment as control. Practice strategic distance. Build capacity to walk away. Achieve outcome independence. Own your emotional state completely. Machiavelli's teaching endures. This is how the prince remains unshakable when everything around him shakes. This is how you remain free when everything tries to bind you. This is how you remain yourself when everything tries to change you. Welcome to Detachment, where you touch everything and cling to nothing, where you care deeply and need desperately nothing, where you engage fully and remain able to disengage completely. Machiavelli knew this is the only way to move through a world of change without being broken by that change. You're not attached anymore. You're sovereign. Machiavelli's final lesson. The sovereign man walks through the world carrying nothing that can be taken from him because everything he truly values lives within him, not in external circumstances, other people, or outcomes beyond his control. Hit subscribe. Hit like. Comment which lesson freed you. Share this. You're detached. Machiavelli's ultimate truth. Your power now cannot be stolen because it depends on nothing outside yourself. Your peace cannot be disturbed because it comes from within. Your freedom cannot be taken because it lives in your refusal to be enslaved by your own attachments. Welcome to Mastery Through Detachment, the only mastery that lasts. As Machiavelli knew, in the end, he who needs nothing controls everything. He who needs everything controls nothing. Thanks for watching.